Hi there, my name's Katie McGraw, and I'm going to be explaining my digital artifact that I created for the lesson plan Going Places Safely Online. And the overall goal of this lesson is to explore how kids can go places safely on a computer. So first of all, this lesson plan addresses a lot of different standards, but the ones that I focused in on were the ISTE standards 2B and 2D. And it was mostly about students engaging in safe behavior when using technology, especially a focus on social interactions online and managing digital privacy and security. So to do that, I created a book online, actually, called Milo's Trip to the Zoo. So this is the book, and basically it goes through a scenario of a young child going to the zoo and taking some risky behaviors that he shouldn't necessarily take in public. And the goal is to help students make connections with how these risky behaviors also apply to the online world. So yeah, this book kind of outlined some not simple mistakes, but mistakes such as entering places that are off limits or specifically marked not for the character, who's a young child in this case. This example was about him entering a door that was labeled workers only at the zoo. And again, the goal is to kind of make connections to how this can apply online. This specific example, I made a connection to students or young children kind of accessing sites or explicit material that is inappropriate. So to kind of look deeper into how this can apply, I created some instructions that kind of went over the lesson plan. It gave a link to the lesson plan. It gave a link to the book that I created, and kind of gave a brief description about what the goal was. And then I just made some discussion questions and points about how we can use the internet to learn about different types of topics and explore. And then I got into some of this material about why it's important to listen to what trusted adults say about proper online behavior. And some of these specifically address the mistakes that the character made throughout the book, such as talking to strangers in public is just as dangerous as talking to strangers online. So after I made those connections in the questions, I went over the 4 E's of technology, which are effectiveness, efficiency, enhancement, and engagement. And that just kind of explains how this tool can be supplemental to the lesson. And basically, my idea of how this book would be used would be after the teacher or educator had brought up the idea of being safe online and how that can apply to how we are safe in public. Then the instructor would read this story either aloud to the class, or since it is online, students could read it on their own, depending on the ability of the students. And as they're reading, the teacher could ask some of these questions to kind of guide the students, or the teacher could wait until after reading the story and decide to kind of have a group or entire class discussion so that the teacher would be able to, again, kind of guide the thoughts of the students more so. And at the end, I made the last question what are some good rules to establish to keep us safe online? So that could also transition into another activity in which the teacher and the students work together to outline some rules that they think are important for keeping themselves safe online, protecting themselves, protecting their information. And I think that would be a good way to get the standards and the goal of the lesson across. And then again, the learning objectives here talk about discovering that the internet can be used to visit faraway places and learn new things. So that was addressed in the first discussion question about how we can use the internet to learn. And then it goes into the comparison of how staying safe online is similar to staying safe in the real world, which is where the questions kind of break down the specific mistakes that the character Milo made in public, and encouraging the students to do some critical thinking about how these apply to being safe online. And then finally, with the students and the teacher working together, explaining rules for traveling safely on the internet. So that's kind of a breakdown of how this resource, the online book, could be used as a supplemental artifact for the lesson plan. And I think a really effective place where this book could be used in the written lesson would be after this warm-up here, where students are invited to kind of think about how they travel in public, how they stay safe in public, and right before the main teaching portion of the lesson, in which students get into the more in-depth part of establishing rules about how to stay safe online. So thank you so much for watching.